Let me ask you, I mean, you've opened our eyes to so much just in this short conversation, but was there anything beyond what we're talking about now that surprised you as you were going through this, as you were, navigating diagnosis, treatment, and now remission? Anything that was just you didn't see coming at all, whether it was support or something you learned or the way treatment went, anything?
At the top of my mind right now, I think that I was living alone in Miami Beach in a little studio apartment. I was going back and forth every other week for treatment. I was immunocompromised, so I couldn't necessarily, it was not advisable for me to go out and socialize in public areas. I was wearing a mask before the whole pandemic occurred.
Before they were fashionable.
Yeah, before it was encouraged, you know. Again, I never saw any of this coming, but I always thought that there were certain people in my life that would support me more than they did, or they just didn't. And then there were other people who I thought wouldn't support me that did. Kind of opened up my eyes a little bit. And also too, just for me, like I didn't want it to be like a identity. Like
Mhm.
I don't want
You
being
don't want to be
necessary.
Chase, the guy with cancer. You just want to be Chase, right? Is that
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I don't want to be invited to something because people feel like I'm like a token invite or something, or a token hire. I want it to just be myself. I'd have to imagine that there are probably other people out there that are going through this, that are experiencing the same thing. One of the things that I think is it doesn't matter if you have the best case scenario outcome. Cancer is robbing you of a lot. It is robbing you more of so many different things in your life,
Mhm.
and it's terrible. But for me, all I can say is throughout my experience, there were times where I was mad at the world. I was depressed. I was questioning, like trying to rationalize, trying to pinpoint a cause or something. But I figured that I have to just come to terms with the cards I was dealt and then figure out what the best use of my time is. That's kind of what I would like to convey, because I've realized that I can be upset all I want. It's not going to change the facts. I figured I'm just going to make the best use of my time. Just try and be a good person and try and enjoy life for what it is. I mean, it wasn't an overnight thing, it took a while.
It sounds like it's changed your perspective. Would you agree with that? And how has it changed?
100%. I mean, before I was diagnosed, right, I wasn't even 21 and a half years old.
Yeah.
So I had just graduated from college. I was a pretty good student, not phenomenal, but I was pretty good. I had my career lined up. I was on top of the world. Friendships and relationships, and I'm finally entering adulthood. And then this happened, and then I had to come to terms with life is really fragile, and there are so many things that just are unpredictable,
Yeah.
and it really changed my perspective. I like when I was sick, one of the more, I don't want to say aggravating, but one of the things that definitely got under my skin a little bit was whether I be at work, or I be in public or something, or I'm talking to a friend and they're like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm 10 minutes late for so and so, or oh, I have to wait 3 months for the next season. I would do anything to have that problem. Like, if that's what you're upset about, you are blessed, truly. Like, that is a great problem to have in a way, you know? So I don't sweat what I would call the small stuff.
Yeah.
I try not to, and I'm not perfect, but it's definitely completely changed my life. I mean, if it wasn't for this whole experience, I would 100% be different, just because I hadn't gone through it, you
Yeah.
know?
Would you say, and I don't know if this is the right word, and so excuse me if it's not, but would you say, sort of like what you're saying now, there have been some blessings that have come along with this that have shaped who you are in a positive way, and the way you sort of move in the world now in a positive way?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a pretty positive person, but now, like, I mean, just to have, like, the opportunity and the ability to get good medical care and the ability to have my body respond, I consider myself a half glass full type of person. It's also made me more compassionate, I think. In a way, I don't want to say thankful or grateful, but I have tried to make the most of a very negative situation and try to grow from it.
Yeah, you are definitely a positive person. I heard an expression one time that the glass is always 100% full. It's just that 50% is filled with water and the other 50% is filled with air. And I think that maybe that aligns with you. You are incredibly positive and you do look to do, all of this outreach. And I sort of I want to come back to now sort of full circle that when you heard about being in remission, you've gone through this, treatment that is extensive. It's caused physical issues, pain, chemo brain, as you call it, where you feel like maybe you lose your train of thought or you forget what you're doing occasionally. Tell me about that moment. And then I want to dive a little bit deeper into what it all means. Where were you when you found out?
Well, so I was at a mall in northern New Jersey. From the way I recall it, I was at the mall and I got a text from my oncologist, and she, sent me a really positive text. And I believe it was, like I said, during the week of Hanukkah, as you're approaching Christmas, and it was just a huge relief. Sharing that news with my family and everything was incredible. For me, I had already came to terms with the reality of the situation, that whatever happens, I'm going to be content with whatever the outcome may or may not be. But seeing my family and my friends and that sort of stuff, that was really nice. It was great. For me, I took a huge weight off my shoulders, and then right before the new year started, I got my port removed, and that kind of transitioned me to the remission.
When did you get to ring that bell?
I believe it was December 5th, 2019. That was my last chemotherapy. Shortly before that, the way it was going for me, and I think a lot of other patients, was throughout your treatment, they're scanning you every so often, every
Mhm.
couple months, just to kind of monitor if the treatments are working and it's reacting to the treatments. So at that point, it was going into that, I kind of knew that the treatment had been responding, and that there was nothing really showing up on the scan, but it only takes like one cell to
Mhm.
still be alive before it starts spreading again. And so I was feeling pretty good about it. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome on that. But I'll also say too, as a patient, probably some of the hardest stuff was I didn't like seeing my loved ones and my friends and my people I care about being upset. That was very difficult,
Yeah.
but it just it worked out.